Welcome back to Giant Monster Games. We are carrying on with our Modern Masters 2017 edition spoilers, and while I was away, there was so many spoilers, starting out with Pyromancer's Ascension. Now, if you guys play Storm, this is a fantastic card for it. I hope you guys open this card and then play Storm because you've opened this card, because that would be amazing for me. I will say, though, that Storm right now in Modern isn't a super big thing, but it could be like a tier 2 deck if you try really hard, so it is possible to build that deck. And maybe down the road, assuming Pyromancer's Ascension actually comes down a little bit, we may try and build one of those decks. But in the meantime, let's talk about Sphinx's Revelation. This card really needed a reprint. It was seeing quite high prices, and it is seeing a lot of play, I think, in Commander. It sees a little bit of play in Modern, because it really just fills your hand back up, and it allows you to actually prolong the game by gaining a bunch of life and then drawing a bunch of cards, giving yourself some gasoline. Moving along, Death's Shadow is being reprinted. I personally am not a very big fan of playing against a Death's Shadow deck because they tend to be really weird and aggressive, and I don't know, I have a hard time playing against Death's Shadow, but it is being reprinted, which is good because the card itself has actually spiked quite a bit recently, and it's good to see it coming back down. I mean, obviously this is being seen in Modern. I don't think it's being played in Legacy or Vintage at all. I'm positive it's playing in Modern, though, and I don't think this card really sees any play in Commander, so it's being reprinted for Modern. Modern. The next card is Craterhoof Behemoth. Now, this guy also has been seeing a lot of price spikes lately because Elves is using it. It's being used in a bunch of other basically green overrun decks, and now it's being reprinted. Hopefully that price will come back down. It is, mythic rarity, so it is not going to be that easy to get, but again, it is reprinted, so if you do open this, you could go out and build an elf deck that is actually very good, because it basically, if you read the card, it says creatures you control get +X and trample, where X is the number of creatures you control until end of turn. This is so that is madness. The next card is Abrupt Decay, which I'm really glad they left it rare. I thought they were going to upshift it into Mythic, but they didn't, so it's really good to see. This card sees a lot of play. If you were playing green and black in Modern, Abrupt Decay is fantastic. Usually in the sideboard, sometimes maybe one or two of in the main deck, but sideboarding this card is really good because it destroys anything. It destroys anything that has converted mana cost 3 or less, which is fantastic. It allows you to get rid of artifacts, allows you to get rid of planeswalkers, allows you to get, well, some planeswalkers. It allows you to get rid of tons of things. Artifacts, creatures, whatever. Speaking of planeswalkers, this thing can get rid of. Liliana of the Veil has finally been confirmed. She has needed a reprint for a long time. She is like up there in one of the most expensive cards being played in Modern, so it is really good to see her coming back. I was actually a little bit surprised. I was a little on the fence. Personally, I thought they may give her a little bit of a ban action because she is extremely difficult to play around if you don't have stuff to deal with her. Usually you're either going to be discarding your hand away or losing all your creatures, and it becomes really hard, especially when she's only 3 mana cost. So, Planeswalker, Liliana of the Veil, reprint, fantastic. I'm super excited about that. The next 2 cards we're going to talk about is Magma Jet and Burning Tree Emissary. Both of these cards have been downshifted into common status, which is fantastic. Magma Jet doesn't see a ton of play. I mean, you see it a little bit in Storm decks or a little bit in Delver Secrets decks. I've used it in one of my decks, if you probably remember. But Burning Tree Emissary has been actually slowly crawling up in price because it is used a lot, because for the most part, you can be using Burning Tree Emissary to get free cards onto the table. You basically play Burning Tree Emissary, and then you can play something else for free really quickly, or at least for free. You basically get 2 additional mana. So you get 2 mana when you play it, so it's kind of for free. And I've seen a couple decks where they use Burning Tree Emissary with a couple tricks of getting stuff into play, and then you just get free mana out of it as well. So she is really good if you're making a deck that's just red-green aggro, and you're going to go out there. I mean, even green Stomp decks use her a lot as well, because it's just basically a free creature onto the table, and you can just keep go. Shifting into red specific spells, we have Past in Flames. Each instant sorcery card you have in the graveyard is flashback until end of turn. This is going to see a lot of love in Limited, but I don't think it's going to see a ton of play actually in Modern. It's an okay card, but the thing is, it's really expensive. So unless you have something specific out of your graveyard, I mean, Storm doesn't really work anymore because they banned Probe, because before you could actually play this and then you could probe, and get a bunch of, Storm counters up, and then drop something big. But it's just not as effective anymore, so yeah, we'll see how that pans out. Moving right along, let's talk about 3 black common cards that have been spoiled. We have Bone Splinters, Gnawing Zombie, and Mortican Beetle. Now, Mortican Beetle used to be a rare card, and it has now been downshifted to common, which is actually really good. I mean, the card doesn't see a ton of play. It would have been really sad if it stayed at rare, I should say, because it just would fill up a slot. This card is kind of bulkish. It's not being used in a ton of stuff. It could be really good. I mean, it's really good if you're playing, say, like a Carador deck. I keep bringing up Carador because it's the commander I play right now. And it's good in a couple other strategies where you are going to be sacking a lot of stuff. I mean, you could probably make Mortican Beetle work in, say, like an Aristocrats build, but it's just not that amazing. There's better cards usually you're slotting in instead of this card. And then Gnawing Zombie and Bone Splinters, yeah, they're going to be some removal, really good drafted. Well, sorry. Specifically, Bone Splinters is going to be good because you can actually draft it in limited and have a little bit of removal, because we haven't seen a ton of removal yet. There may be a bunch of other stuff coming. We have to take a look. We'll have to wait and see. The next card is Falcon Wrath Aristocrat, which is actually one of the Aristocrats I suggested in the Aristocrats deck, that if you are going to be going into Mardu colors, this is a really fantastic upgrade. So, I mean, maybe if you build the Aristocrats deck and you crack one of these when you're opening these packs, if you get some of these packs, I should say, then you could totally build a Mardu version of this card. Other than that, this card is going to see a bunch of play when it gets drafted, and it's being used in a bunch of stuff all over the place. Commander sees it. I don't think Modern sees it too much. As a couple decks, obviously, but it's kind of being used a little bit everywhere, but not a lot everywhere. Moving along, Extractor Demon is next. I personally love Extractor Demon because it is a 5/5 flyer that allows you to put stuff into your graveyard as stuff dies. Unfortunately, it is a 6-drop, but it has an earth cost of 3, so if you're playing like a budget dredge, which I have obviously built, it's really good. You can just dredge this away and then bring it back. I mean, it's going to be see some play in limited, and it's going to be seen in janky decks like the ones I build, but it is not that amazing card. If you open this as your rare, I do apologize. That does suck because there's so many good rares in this deck, or in this set, and it's just, I'm sorry if that's what you end up opening. Something you do want to open is Basilisk Collar. Now, wow, this card is so good. I am glad they're reprinting it, because again, this one's just one of the ones that keeps crawling up in price. This card is seen in a ton of Commander decks, a ton of Modern decks, and just it's just such a good card all around. It allows you to... It's such a good card all around. It is a 1-drop artifact that allows you to equip and give a creature Death Touch and Lifelink. So it's so good. It's so good. I can't even think of reasons why you wouldn't want to play this card. Now we have Vithurian Stinger. I may be butchering that name. It is a uncommon, and it is tap to deal 1 damage to target creature or player, and it has Unearth. Kind of a weird card. Might see some play in limited, but I personally don't know if this card is being used in anything, quite honestly. I'm not really sure. I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't think so. Almost finishing off our Miracle Cycle, we have Terminus. So this is gonna be another one of the Miracle cards. It puts all creatures on the bottom of their owner's library, which is, if you're playing this and you're playing against Dredge, this is a hilarious card. Obviously, the only time this card is actually effective is if you are literally drawing it and playing it for its Miracle cost, because paying 6 for this effect is so bad. Either way, in limited, it probably will see some play, because so far, as I said before, we're not seeing a ton of removal if you're drafting the set, so it will be good to get a little bit of other creature control. Speaking of creatures, Lingering Souls. Here's another card that sees a absolute ton of Modern play. This card, I mean, I don't think it's been creeping up too much in price, but it has been going up in price a little bit here and there, so it's nice that it is, again, getting reprinted, because it's just such a value card. It costs 3 to get 2 1/1s, then costs 2 to get another 2 1/1s. It's just super duper value, and it gives you a ton of extra options, especially once you're getting into the mid to late game, and you're like, I kind of need to cast this, and I want to cast this, and I guess I can also cast this out of my graveyard for just an additional little bit extra creatures. It's really good. I mean, I personally absolutely love Lingering Souls, and I'm really glad they're reprinting it. I'm looking forward to drafting this card, quite honestly. And the last card we have for today is Gifts Ungiven. Again, I feel like they literally just like went through and said, what's everyone playing in Modern? How about we just print all of those cards? Because I was not expecting to see Gifts Ungiven being reprinted in this set, but it is. Bam, here it is. This is absolutely fantastic. I would actually like to see more gift decks, because I haven't seen a whole lot out there. I haven't played against any of my locals, game store, and I haven't played against any on MTGO either recently. So, I mean, maybe I need to go and build a gifts deck. That may be a thing I have to do now. So, this is the last card of the day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Tomorrow morning, stay tuned for the next follow-up on what has come out during the night. My name's Adrian. This is Giant Monster Games. Pound the like button, subscribe to Giant Monster Games if you like this video, and don't forget to game like a giant monster.